Hello, Planet FunCon. How you doing?
Yay!
Hey. Excellent.
I'm not holding this whole thing.
No, you're not.
Well, thanks for coming on up to our panel. So we're going to talk with my guests here about using the internet and social media to make a nerdy career, as it were. So.
Oh yeah. Nerdy career.
Yes. So my guests are Isaac Wells and Brad Jones. Isaac Wells is a writer, editor, and actor, has done several shorts, independent video games, and is most famous for voicing internet Skeletor. Brad Jones is a writer of novels, movie miniseries, actor best known for his character on Channel Awesome / YouTube personality, The Cinema Snob, as well as the parody Twitter account Gary Peterson USA. Right? Yeah, so I'm sure we'll talk about those things as we go along.
Frontier.
So let's just start out. What sort of got you both into acting, and sort of creative pursuits?
I did start out wanting to do the triple threat thing, write, direct, act in my own stuff, but just kind of do the low budget exploitation thing. So I started out as an exploitation filmmaker and did a lot of kind of underground horror stuff, and then really did dig doing it. But what took off clearly wasn't that. It was as much as I miss those days that I can remember because I was drinking a lot back then. You can tell when you see the movies. Falling into the whole YouTube thing, it was at the beginning of YouTube, and it just kind of happened organically. I was in between jobs at the time. I was doing a lot of DJing work, and YouTube was new, and I was always a big horror movie guy, so I kind of wanted to spotlight different kind of Italian exploitation movies that at the time not many people were talking about on the internet. So then I started this Cinema Snob riff show kind of character, and it took off from there. And eventually, again, back then, no one was really making a living doing that. There was no monetization. We did it because, we were young, we didn't have much else to do. And then, it became a thing, and we really, really liked doing it. And 17 years later, still doing it. I still have the drive for it. And if I sound tired, I have a 9-month-old at home.
Aww.
So that makes it tricky if I'm reviewing porno movies, by the way.
What, no Caligula?
Oh, the re-review, maybe I should do a re-review on that at some point. But the boy's he's not old enough for Caligula yet. When he turns 5.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm old enough for Caligula.
Exactly, no one's really old enough for Caligula.
80 days of Sodom or something?
120 days, thank you very much.
Sodom, yeah. That's a traumatization movie.
Oh yeah. It's on Criterion, so it's classy.
Classy trauma. That's what you. Just what got you interested in acting?
I'm a nerd. No, I watched lots of TV and movies and stuff, and I was just like, hey, I want to do that. And so I started making fun of voices, impersonating people, and I realized I could do it pretty well. And I tried the whole YouTube thing, failed miserably. I just did it for fun, and then I started just auditioning for different parts for video games and cartoons and stuff, and eventually I made little parts, and then I one day said, hey, I can actually match the original He-Man's Skeletor's voice. So let me just kind of say his own thing, because I always thought if he was online, he would be an internet troll. If he was in the 2020s, Skeletor would definitely be an internet troll. So I was like, yeah, let's just go with that. So I did one little video where he said something really random, and then I did the, until we meet again, and he runs away, and then everybody was like, oh man, that's just like it, And to me, it was never dead on just like it, but if they hear that, then that was cool. But I just wanted to do it because I saw it.
Yeah, so there's this sort of, I'm hearing it from both of you, is that you kind of just wanted to do it, and you did, you just took the risk.
It would go in a different avenue. It was certainly just entertaining and being in that field and being able to perform and all of that. Yeah, certainly. That's certainly what I wanted to do. It was different than what I would, I mean, I wouldn't have predicted that I'd be, you know, on the internet doing like silly videos. When I started, I was mainly playing villains and like bad guys and like real, like I played like a serial killer in like 4 movies. So I never thought like comedy was gonna be one. So I kind of had to like find my voice in that field. But at the end of the day, like it's just really fun to perform and also like get better in what takes off. So when the comedy stuff took off, it was actually fun, kind of finding what the right timing is, finding what your comedic voice is going to be, really getting used to it, which makes it very hard to watch older videos, like, to go back to. I won't be doing that for a while, but, no.
George
like,
Lucas sitting completely.
Oh, I've remade some episodes, yeah. If they're, like, too hot for YouTube, yeah, I've, like, remade some.
I still think that should be a promo. Too hot for
Too hot for YouTube, that's why I did have a Pornhub channel.
Well, so you both have mentioned YouTube, and it worked for you, Brad. As you said, it worked less well for you.
Yeah, mine was like the other social networks like Instagram and TikTok. I just happened to be doing it at the right time.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, I noticed that like YouTube has its own, like, you know what to expect from YouTube. Like nowadays, it's like, you want to see a movie trailer, you're probably going to go to YouTube. If you want to see a music video, you're probably going to go to YouTube. And if you have a built-in audience, you have a YouTube channel that's structured, and it's more for long-form content. And I noticed that a lot of people just, I noticed a lot of people kind of doom scroll through stuff, and I was like, hey, if I could have 8 seconds to make them laugh, I would do that, and I would be fine with that. And so I did a couple, and I think on my Instagram alone, you know, my engagements are like, hey, you've reached 10 million people this month, or 20 million, and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. So I don't know what to do with that per se. I'm just happy that people are enjoying it. I get like DMs all the time being like, hey, it means a lot. I look forward to it. And there was some people that really had some really deep meaning to it. And I just didn't think people would like it, because I actually did play villains too. But I didn't think people would like my style of comedy. Yeah. That's why I didn't do comedy, because I was like, nobody's gonna laugh at this. But then I was just like, hey, screw it. One day I did one where it was Skeletor, and he just said, he was like, you can't spell advertisements without semen between the tits. And then he just runs off. And that just blew up. Like I woke up the next, I just uploaded it and put it down, and then I was like, whatever. And then I come back the next morning, and my phone is just going like, and it killed my phone. And I was like, what's going on? And so it was like, you know, boom, 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 boom. So like, right now on TikTok, even though, you know, TikTok is kind of like in limbo right now because of what's going on with the, you know, government and all that stuff. I'm sitting on like 250,000 followers, but like on Instagram, I'm almost up to like a 500,000, and combined I'm like 1 million followers throughout all my social media, so I'm pretty happy about that. But it's like growing all the time. But Instagram's really good to me because, let's just face it, Meta's gonna take over. It's just gonna happen. They own Facebook, they own Instagram, they own Threads, you know, and that's just how it is. I would love to do stuff for YouTube, again in the future, because I do have that inner geek nerd that wants to do that kind of stuff. Yeah. I failed at it the first time, but the short form content really worked out for me.
So there's definitely sounds like there's some serendipity involved, right, in both of your experiences. Now, sort of, I guess, looking back then, if you were going to talk to your younger selves and say, here, do this slightly differently, or for someone in the audience who might be interested, what were some things you would recommend in terms of
Probably fixing the lighting.
fixing the lighting?
The lighting on my old videos, yeah, fixing the lighting. I don't know what I would say professionally speaking, because like, you know, if I went back and told myself in 2006, like, you should do this better, that better, write this better, the 2006 version of myself wouldn't just still probably couldn't make it better. Like it would have to happen like organically over the years. So if I was to talk to my younger self, it'd probably be more like personal issues, like maybe don't drink as much.
I think mine would be like just find what you want to do and like stick to it and consistency. Because that's especially nowadays, you have to be consistent.
Yeah.
Online moves way faster than it did like when we first like it was like, hey, you know, I'll have a video like maybe once every 2-3 weeks or something, but now it's like you have to have a video almost every day. Let alone, like, you should probably have, like, especially for short form content, people I know that are big influencers upload like 2-3 times a day.
So yeah, consistency in terms of pacing of content as opposed
yeah, you need to keep coming out. It's almost like, hey, just do content dump onto the internet, and eventually it will start leaking to other people's stuff.
And YouTube does have like, they are adding some certain things that you can have your account be active every day without necessarily putting up a new episode or something like that. So you can do things that still keep like engagement going on your YouTube channel every day, whether it's the community section on there, which will give your page some traction, like going into the community, putting up a community post. Like I just did one earlier where it was us sitting at the table and it's like, hey, come see us here. You know, that in and of itself, you know, while it's not making monetization money, it is keeping your channel active, so it's causing it to show up more. It's still getting engagement. Yeah. Oh, and YouTube also doing like the short form content too. So we'll put up like a short.
They're at this weird point where they don't know if they want to stick with long form or they want to. Because every time I go on YouTube, it's like they're pushing the shorts. It's almost sometimes it just loads up on the short tab, and you know, so other people will see my shorts on there, and I think that's pretty cool because I want to do that. But it's like you want to be caught in the algorithm pool.
Yeah, you do.
And it's all about the algorithm. So like my algorithm blew up, and I just started going more on it, so it would never die down. So I have to post something every day. But my content, fortunately, is pretty dang easy to do. I just, you know, come up with a random thought, or somebody sends one to me, and I put it to previously animated animations, work the jaw. It maybe takes me about 5-10 minutes to do it, and then I just let it go for the day. I think I posted one today saying the biggest scam in life was when your mom said that she wouldn't get mad if you told the truth. And you know, I did that in a Skeletor voice, and I'm crazy. I'm telling it again. So it's all about the people commenting, and like you want people to comment with, especially like Skeletor. They're talking to Skeletor in this. So just like they're talking to your character or something like that, you want it to be like that. Unfortunately, now I'm getting to the point where I get so many comments, and so I cannot keep up with them.
Yeah.
Like I went on Instagram Live. They want you to do that too. That's another thing. You have to do lives and whatever they're trying to push, you have to do that to keep up with the algorithm. I went on Instagram Live, and immediately I just pushed live, and I just sat back, and immediately 400 questions, and I was like, oh dang, you know, like what am I supposed to do? And of course it's like, you know, the poking the stick in the cage, perform, monkey, you know, like, say the line, you know, and it was. And of course, I was like in a hotel, so I'm going to piss off all the people next to me. So of course, I'm going to be like, until we meet again, like right in the thing, you know. But that's, you know, that's what he is. But you just have to keep at it. You just can't stop. If you stop, like, unfortunately, on the internet, if you miss like a week or two, that could make you dead from the algorithm for a while.
So it sounds like there are some potential pitfalls. You mentioned, for example, engagement, right? And the internet is wonderful in many ways, but in other ways it opens up issues with people flame posting and things like that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so what are sort of the ways that you navigate interacting with folks who maybe argue with your characters in a way that sort of helps you keep your sanity?
I've been doing it so long I don't really read comments much anymore. I will, like, at the very beginning of posting up a video, I will, just to kind of make sure there's nothing wrong with the video, you know, like, So if there's something wrong with the video that I may have missed or something like that.
Like fashion.
Yeah. So looking at that for sure. Other than that, yeah, you know, I kind of post it. I put up the links and the advertisements for it. Sometimes in the comments I might respond if someone says something nice or something like that. But other than that, I'm usually, if I'm engaging like that, it's typically on Twitter, really. So years ago, I would probably spend more time in the comments. I really don't anymore.
X.
Oh,
For
yeah.
people who don't know if it's Twitter and not Twitter.
Just call it.
I still say Twitter.
I'm literally gonna always call it Twitter.
It's X-Twitter.
Yeah. There was nothing flattering about when he first changed that.
Yeah.
And then it would be like, watch this video on X, and I was like, my family and friends are gonna love these X videos.
Yeah, exactly. By an X.
No,
It's cringy whenever someone says that.
It's
Service formerly known as X, or as Twitter.
X.
yeah. No, but I never got into the Twitter thing, even when it was Twitter. I didn't have text enough to just post that. I was always about the visual media. And a lot of the voice actors and stuff that I know also still use Twitter. But yeah, it was all about like I really just ignore people who just, if they want to post something flaming, usually my fans will come before I do.
Same here, yeah.
Yeah.
You build up enough of a base that I don't really have to worry about this. Like, they're gonna like go in there and counter whatever is being flamed.
Like if they say something to Skeletor that's like flaming him, I'll be like, I'll look at it and I'll be like, I didn't even think I was gonna comment, but they'll be like, hey, look at this 12 comment thread right here.
Yeah.
And I'll just like go to the first comment and be like, yo, bro thought he was cooking with this, you know, like, and I was like, that's hilarious that you just guys come to like defend the channel that you like or the character you like before I even get to. And sometimes it looks like I'm randomly posting or like commenting back because I am. I can only catch comments when they come in.
Yeah.
Like when I go on my phone. Like I go on my phone at the end of the day, if I happen to catch a comment, I'll say something back to it. But other than that, like it happens so fast that they just go away. But I'll try to read as many as I can. But I just never let it get to me. Any negativity, I'm just like, whatever. If you post, if you took that long to post a negative thing, you just helped my algorithm.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you for your service.
You gotta have thick skin to do it, like to do this, especially doing it for so long. You gotta have thick skin, or else you're just gonna go insane. Like, you're gonna drive yourself absolutely mad. So if you have like really, really, really thin skin, I don't suggest getting into it.
Well, it sounds like, I mean, just given the pace of having to continually be running, right, to post things, that if you added on to that, the skin, that would make it even more difficult.
Yeah.
I do know that, Brad, you and I have talked about this before, that trying to understand, for example, YouTube's, what they flag and what they don't flag, copyright.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So how do you navigate working on properties that have potential copyright issues to begin with?
Copyright is not that hard to kind of deal with now, especially if you know like what the right time length of clips should be versus maybe like if I'm uploading an older video made back in like the Blip TV days, I know it's going to get flagged and there will probably be clips that I have to trim because clips were just a lot longer back then. Now, if something gets flagged now, it's typically getting flagged by like a content ID bot, and they're really easy to appeal. Like you put in an appeal, typically they'll clear it. If they don't, you put it through a second appeal, and eventually it'll get cleared. You got to keep it unlisted for a bit, like just to see if it catches any content ID bots. So we do a lot of stuff in advance for that reason, and advanced videos go on Patreon. Yeah, in terms of like copyright, that's how we deal with that. The harder than copyright is getting hit with limited ads if you have something that's maybe too graphic or something like that. Like if I'm reviewing a Hellraiser movie, so something really, really bloody, nowadays you kind of gotta cut away from violence a little bit more. Yeah, like a little bit. Even if you black box it, having the black box in it of itself will sometimes get it like restricted.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So now it's just kind of knowing when to sort of cut away from certain
And
things.
so when you say limited ad, that means it cuts down the amount of ads that come
It cuts down the amount of ads.
And that's a bad thing.
Yeah, because the video won't make as much, and it also
I see.
won't go into the algorithm as much. So, yeah, you kind of got to be like weary of that a little. That's something that's harder for bigger channels than it is smaller. A smaller channel can because I'm on 2 different channels. I'm on my own, which is kind of a medium amount of subscribers. I'm also on Channel Awesome, which has 1 million subscribers. So, ones that are on kind of my own. It's not that I could get away with anything, I can't, but I can to an extent more so than a video that's on Channel Awesome. It's just, yeah, kind of knowing what to cut around is all.
Good at that.
Unlisted, or keep it unlisted, does that mean post it private?
Oh, yeah, so there's private, which means no one can see it. Unlisted just means, yeah, it's not public, but you can embed it. So we have a Patreon, which is like a perks program. One of our perks on there is they see videos on there a week before it goes public. So those videos, they're categorized under unlisted. So it's just taking the embed code and put it on Patreon.
YouTube lets people see that they have the exact link.
Yeah.
I would do an OnlyFans.
I should. I tried Pornhub.
I tried.
Working, for example, with Internet Skeletor, did you run into any issues? Obviously, it's your voice, but...
At first, I was a little worried about that, using the old 80s clips because, Mattel obviously does them. And then I started to actually draw my own versions of them. And so like any of the ones that look HD, it's because I actually animated and drew them myself. And so I took the old animation, I looked at it, and I basically kind of almost like fan rotoscoped it, like where I was like, I could do this, but I'm moving the jaw my own way, I'm just drawing it my own way. It's very much obviously Skeletor. I've never, but Mattel has really had no problems with it. They've actually, I think, pretty much have said they're okay with it as long as, basically I have a lot of rules where I don't, no making fun of particular people, no, shooting at anybody. I basically am Skeletor, so I make fun of humanity. But in terms of like content, it's usually they take it down because it's like, oh, it violates like our sexual explicit content because I said something. Gotcha. Like under something. Like they tried to recently actually, it was a video that's still getting views, and it was they tried to take it down and they were like, oh, this is filed under hate speech, and I was like, what was the one that I said where it was bad? And for some reason, it was the one where Skeletor was just like, remember, all men are squirters until we meet again. And then I was like, how is that hate speech? That's fact, all right? Like, that's fact. And I had to go into the Instagram thing and peel it, and it's like, what was the reason why you're appealing it? It was just a joke. And I was like, it's just a joke. It was nothing about it. And they're like, oh, okay, well, it's lifted. So sometimes the bad thing about it is that Autobots will just, they'll just immediately block it. I had somebody content violate, the bot violated my own channel for me. On YouTube. We uploaded a short film from my production company, and it was my production company that put it on YouTube. And they were like, yeah, this violates, your company, Pyrolite Productions thing. And I'm like, I'm Pyrolite. I'm the one. Like,
that happened to me once too. Back when it was Blip, so when I was re-upload after a lot of our videos used to be on Blip TV back in the day. So when Blip went down and we migrated back to YouTube, we were taking some stuff and re-uploading it to YouTube, and there was one that got copyright claimed by Blip TV, which didn't exist anymore. So I appealed it, but I had to wait for it to time. I had to wait for it to time out for it to clear because there's no one at Lit TV anymore.
You just want to like, you know, they're like, oh, those content. You just want to be like, you're a moron. Just, you know, like real people. You know, obviously real people can't sift through millions and millions of videos being uploaded, but, you know, a lot of times you'll just have to be like, look, appeal. And a lot of times they won't even, sometimes it seems like they don't even look. They just say, okay, that's fine. Because if you take the time to appeal it, it's obviously something, you know. But like Instagram's sort of the same thing, Facebook, Meta, whatever you want to say. It's basically the same thing as YouTube. They have auto banning bots, and then you just have to just appeal it. It's just a weird process.
The number of conversations that could be solved with "you're a moron."
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like channeling my inner House MD, and I was just like, you know, it was like, oh, you violated because it was this channel that owns it. The channel that you're on, right now, you own it. We violated it because you own it. And I'm like, you know, like it was, yeah, it was a short post-apocalyptic, short black and white film, and I have no idea how that worked, but they, its content violated me for my own video, so you have to be patient with these things a lot.
Well, take a few minutes. Are there questions from the audience?
Sorry. I shouldn't have.
Julia looked right at you. What?
Here's the one thing I wanted to know. What is your favorite Peter Kirby movie?
Oh, that's it. I'm so glad I got her Peter Kirby. That's a Kirby question. That's awesome. Thunder with a Gigantic Serpent.
Ah, the Solomon one.
It's the best. Oh yeah, Solomon was the bad guy. Peter Kirby was this actor in the 80s. This guy's life story is even crazier than the actual movies. He was like a yacht dealer in the 80s for some pretty powerful and probably shady businessmen, like out in like, I don't know, the Philippines, Hong Kong or somewhere, but he knew martial arts and he had kind of a movie star look to him. So briefly he was in like Singapore or something, probably dealing arms, like, and did these Godfrey Ho movies. Godfrey Ho did a lot of like kind of low budget martial arts movies back in the 80s. So he did like, Peter Kirby did like a handful of them, and they were like these cut and splice films where they would take these actors like Peter Kirby and splice them into existing movies. One of them is this movie called Thunder the Gigantic Serpent, which was a giant snake monster movie that they insert Peter Kirby into, like doing like martial arts with random other drug dealers that have nothing to do with the snake. And they'll have him, they edit him, they shoot footage of him on the phone talking to characters from the existing movie and splice them together. So it'll be like, General, I just want you to know that snake is getting closer. Like, things like that. And his name in the movie is Ted Fast. It's great. Look up Thunder the Gigantic Serpent, man. It's fantastic.
Makes me think it was a New York Ninja or whatever.
There's Full Metal Ninja. Full Metal Ninja was one. It's like, the dragon's fire burns hot.
No.
It's like, it's dubbed, he's a British guy, but it's like a dubbed American voice. Zombie versus Ninja was one that has no zombies in it. Oh, lots of fun.
What's your least favorite movie you ever had to have on film?
You know what? I think the one that made me the most mad, I wouldn't say it's technically the worst now, but I remember how mad I got at Nuki. Nuki was an E.T. ripoff from South Africa, and it was a very obnoxious set. It was kind of early on in my show where halfway through I'm like, I need to take a break for a little bit and go outside, take a walk, I'll pick up this movie tomorrow. I watched one not that long ago where it was like the old days of I am struggling watching this. Now I've done it so long that if something's bad, I'm not really sitting there that mad. There's one I watched a month or so ago. You all know the Porky's movies, right? So I spotlighted all the Porky's films. The first three I had seen before, of course, so I was just rewatching those, going through making videos. There was a fourth that that up until a few years ago I never knew existed. In 2009, they did an Ashcan sequel, so they made it only to retain the rights. with no budget, and it had none of the same actors in it. They're playing the same characters, but the budget's so low that it's set in the present and not the 50s like the other movies. So you're watching them supposedly playing the same characters, and it was rough sitting through it. It was a lot of really, I mean, I know the whole series is kind of a lot of bottom of the barrel jokes, but this one really was.
It's found a new bottom.
Yeah, it's one of those, it's kind of hard to if you were to describe it, it just sounds like a 2000 sex comedy. When you're watching it, and it's a lot of montages, it kind of feels like you're watching a porn parody without the porn. Like I was watching it, one, kind of annoyed, and two, that there was a lot of it I couldn't show on YouTube because there's a lot of nudity in it, like just in the background. So then it was annoying me even more. So I'm like barely getting material out of this movie. So it was called Porky's Pimpin' Pee-wee. That's what it's called, Porky's Pimpin' Pee-wee.
That sounds like it had a lot of full frontal nudity.
Yeah, it did.
It's quite the alliteration.
So if I'm making a YouTube video, and let's say I want to take a vulture interview, how does that get copyright checked? In other words, the sound signatures, what's get checked, what gets checked? You know, you watch good people will, what do you call it, reactive videos all the time? I mean, so they just play the video and it's in the YouTube.
How does it get cleaned?
Yeah.
It's just like an automated system that a lot of companies have. It's different for each company. There are certain companies that their content ID is not that strict. Like you kind of have to maybe upload the whole movie for it to get hit, or just really super long clips that you probably never even do anyway. Then there's other companies where if it's even just a minor clip, it'll get detected just from audio or video. It's just bots that catch it, really. At least that's what what I've heard it is.
First of all, I just looked up Pierre Kirby's bio on IMDb to see when he passed away in 1990, and you're listed in his bio.
Yeah. A funny story about that. When I did the Pierre Kirby week, this was in the first year or two of doing the show. It was really early on in my show. When I did the Pierre Kirby week, I spotlighted 5 of his movies. His sister contacted me because she didn't know he was in movies. And that was how I knew that he had died. It was kind of speculated before that because he's very obscure is putting it lightly. He was very obscure. So his sister, so no one really kind of knew if he was still around or not, but then his sister 15 years ago had gotten in touch with me and confirmed it. He was on a yacht and some pirates got on board it, I guess. It was this guy's life was an action movie. So anyway, she was cool. She didn't know he did movies, so she asked me if I could send them to her, and I did. I sent her the ones I had at the time.
The question, if you saw the RLM video, how cathartic was it to watch them destroy all those copies of Nuki?
I didn't see that. Did they destroy copies of Nuki?
They had that wall of Nuki tapes because everybody kept sending them to review them.
I've seen that picture, yeah.
They did a video about weird grading and price valuation on movies.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, we're going to keep this one and auction it off for charity.
Oh.
But to make it worth more, we're going to shred all these others to remove them out of the
I remember that now. Yeah.
So it was 200 they put through a wood chipper.
Wow. I actually rewatched Nuki again recently. My wife had never seen it before. Her sister was visiting, and her sister's looking through different notoriously bad movies, and she sees Nuki, and I'm like, oh, well, you gotta watch that. And so we all watched Nuki. It was less annoying sitting through it a second time because I knew what to expect. So then it was here's the part with the talking monkey, with his cigar and shit. But with them, they were sitting there just going I have no idea what's happening here. This is obnoxious. This is grating. I say to them, watch it a second time. It'll be easier.
Why is Nuki's nose running? Why did they do that?
I don't know. The eyes don't blink together. So it's all kind of.
That reminds me of Mac.
A question, career question. So, what do you think is much more important, perseverance or networking?
Like kind of both.
Yeah. You have to do
like
both.
you know how like in the Hollywood saying it's like it's about who you know. That's really true.
Yeah.
And you just basically have to keep at it. So yeah, those two things are probably the most important. You know, aside from the first things you do is like, hey, what am I going to do artistically? Like what do I want to do? And so you kind of figure out what you want to do. And when I started on doing stupid YouTube videos, I realized what I was doing was not all that I wanted to do, so I got to learn from it. So I wanted to act like either behind a microphone or in front of the camera. And I just started to keep up on that. So I've been in a number of short films, and I'm working on a superhero live action series. I get to be a superhero, so that's pretty cool. And we had to meet a lot of people throughout that time. You know, I went to conventions. I just talked to anybody who would talk to me before I ever got into voice acting. I was just like, hey, what do you do? This is great. This is who I am. You know, this is how we do it. And that's where I got to, you know, same thing for voice acting. I would reach out to people and be like, this is my demo. I did all this stuff myself. I did all my voice acting demos myself. I mastered them. I mixed them. I learned everything I had to do it myself. And then I eventually got on like audition list for like Dragon Ball Z and stuff like that. So I ended up doing like commercials and some extra voices for Dragon Ball and stuff like that. So I was pretty happy about that. But yeah, it's basically you have to just reach out to people and be like, hey, I'm not gonna stop annoying you until you know help me out. But no, it's a lot of times like, hey, I can help you out with this. If you help me out with this, you know, there's a quid pro quo about it. That's what I think.
Yeah, it was way different when I started. When I started, the means of getting your stuff out there was a lot different. Like I remember back then, YouTube had these forum sections.
Oh my God, I
remember those, dude? Yeah,
Oh.
you would do a video, and this was back when like YouTube had a time limit. Like you could have stuff that was over 10 minutes long. And so yeah, our videos then are really short, but like
and really bad when you go. I did a.
It's hard to watch, man.
I went back and actually had a YouTube video. It was me and Aaron Hansen. He's Eagle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was just me and him like talking about bullcrap, but I had to upload it in 3 parts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it was just us talking. We were in MegaCon in Orlando, and we were just like, just kind of bullcrapping about Metal Gear Awesome at the time. This is making me feel old, by the way. And, this is before he did Game Grumps and anything like that. He was just Ego Raptor on Newgrounds, which also makes me feel old. Because we were just talking about like just that stuff, and it was like all this stuff doesn't exist anymore, so it's constantly changing. But yeah, we had to upload it in 3 parts, and the lighting was terrible, the sound was terrible, and I was like, I don't even want to watch this. Like, people will be like, "Oh, this is so interesting. Turn it off." Like in front of me. I don't even want to see my face.
The delivery is like totally not what our delivery would become. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah. They would have a. Do you remember those forum sections where it was like you would do a video and then you would look for the forums that are kind of the category of the video you did. So you'd like attach it to it and hope. I guess that was their version of the algorithm back then.
It's kind of like it was kind of like Reddit now.
Yeah,
you just post to the category and hopefully it hits
Yeah.
that. And yeah, I remember that. It was weird.
Yeah, yeah.
God.
I would find like horror and exploitation ones and attach the video to it.
Oh yes, this is something I'll add.
Yeah.
Well, we got just a couple minutes left. I want to give you folks the option to talk about, sort of plug any projects you've got coming up that you can talk about, that you really want people to know about.
I'm doing a number of video games that are coming out on Steam and PlayStation VR. I'm personally kind of interested in a couple of them because they're very indie developers, but they're doing really cool things. So I was really happy to get on top of that. There's a game called Artificial coming out where I'm doing like the main voice. There's a VR game called Gunman Contracts, which is way cool because I really like VR personally, and it's kind of like John Wick but a video game. And we're also doing independent production company of mine. We're doing a live action superhero where we're working with a different number of really cool people, like Athena Finger, whose grandfather created Batman, and George Lowe, who voiced Space Ghost. He's going to be a character in our show. And we're reaching out to a couple of other people that we're like getting like them interested, and I was personally like fanboying because some of them are from Star Trek, so I'm like really like freaking out because I was this big Star Trek fan. And that's we're gonna go on the web first, and it's gonna be called Kickback Heroes. So that's basically what it is. Otherwise, it's just whatever I post is on just my stuff. So whatever I do, you can see it on my Instagram, just on just my Isaac Wells. I'm boring.
I've got, I do an in-film series that ties in with the 40th anniversary of all movies from the 80s. So I just finished 1984 in film, which is me literally going through every movie from 1984, and that will be out a couple weeks, I think. It's 5 hours long, so if you got some time.
Dang.
Yeah. So I've got
one clip or 5 separate hour-long clips.
No, it's the whole thing's 5 hours long. So taking a little bit of time off.
You might need a bathroom break.
Oh yeah, you're going to. People love that. People love those long videos on YouTube now, man. They like playing them when they're working. They like playing them when they're sleeping. Yeah. So, and I love doing the long videos. I really, really do. So doing those year-in film stuff, it's a lot of fun. I'm drained afterwards, but it's worth it. It's totally worth it. So I got that. I just released my book, Class of '86, yeah, other than that, spending time with my son.
Family.
Yeah, oh, there's the whole family thing. Yeah. I got a family. Sometimes I hang out with the family.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Sometimes. If I can take a day off for a couple of weeks, we'll go to the park or something.
We're adults. We have children and stuff.
Isaac, Brad, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to the con, and you can of course meet them downstairs in the vendor hall. Thank you all for coming out to the panel and for coming to Planet FunkCon. Please enjoy the rest of your weekend.